Guys, I don't know why you're suing me. I thought we had a good thing going.
But you're the one who... We have a legal contract. What are you talking about? Samson, show him the legal contract that we signed back in 1999.
In 1999, you signed away 100% of the Monero trust to us.
That's true.
What do you have to say about that?
That's not true. There's no way. I deny that.
Look at. Is this not your signature? Is that your hoof?
I can neither confirm nor deny that that is my signature.
Show us your leg.
It's obviously your signature.
No, I refuse. You can't force me to show you my leg. My leg is precious to me.
Our lawyers will be in touch with your lawyers, and we want to see that 10 trillion Monero in our accounts tomorrow.
Fine. You get my people to talk to your people.
Okay, so welcome to the show.
Magical crypto. The best thing to do is simply to hodl. What's a young pony to do in a sea of shady ICOs? A lion's courage can light up even the darkest of shadows. Unlike the corporate suits, the whale panda is wise. A chicken dreams about the moon while soaring in the skies. As Bitcoin sees new all-time highs. Magical crypto. All around me I see big blockheads. Magical crypto. The best thing to do is simply to hodl. We'll always buy the dip, and we'll always be the best of the rest.
So today on our 5th episode already.
I think this is the 4th episode. The previous one we can just forget about.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about that also. So let me start with the introductions first. As always, Charlie Lee is with us. And obviously Ricardo, who's getting sued now by us. And Samson, the one with the contract. So yeah, there was a lot of talk about our previous episode. A lot of people were not that happy. Of course, it's always a minority, but they said that our previous episode was not informative enough. We know that it was a bit messy, of course, but Ricardo and I had a lot of fun there.
Samson and I didn't.
No, we didn't at all.
The most important thing is that we had fun, not that like we were informative.
Yeah, you guys were drunk and you had fun.
Well, we were really not drunk.
And we couldn't hear you half the time, too.
So, yes, I know that why the last episode was maybe not that great to look at, but it was fun to be in.
And honestly, I think there was some advantage to the guests. I had a lot of people saying that they enjoyed learning a little bit more about Lightning from Dr. Craig Wright herself.
I think the problem was that the connection was bad, so we can barely hear what you guys are talking about sometimes, and it's hard to have a conversation when two people are in the same room and the other two are remote.
Yeah, no, I agree. It didn't flow as well.
Yeah, it happens with meetings at work. If you've ever had a remote meeting where most of the people are in the room and then there's two people remote, the two people remote just can't join the conversation. It's just hard.
The solution to this is next time both of you guys need to be there with us.
Or everyone stays remote.
You're so very social, Charlie.
Yeah. Or we're all in the same location, but we just split up into 4 rooms.
Exactly, Samson's right next door.
Well, we should all be in the same place at Consensus in New York, so that should be fun.
Well, we're all on Earth, so we can make it happen.
Okay, so the first topic I really want to talk about, that's something that came up at the roundtable, actually. So, what are the requirements for banks and for big institutions in the US, for example, to start using Bitcoin? And apparently one of the issues that came up is that if the transactions are mined, they need to be mined by a KYC miner, because otherwise you're basically paying potentially people in sanctioned countries. And that was actually an interesting issue that I never really thought about before. So, for example, if you have a pool and just some miner can get on there from, let's say, North Korea, it mines the transactions from a US bank. So the US bank pays a transaction fee. So in theory, they're now paying a person in a sanctioned country. And that was actually, in my opinion, quite an interesting topic that came up. Now, of course, there are potential ways to solve this by by batching all the transactions together and get them mined by a pool where you know all the miners that are mining there, or maybe have corporations set up their own mining pool or something like that.
What if does it matter where the miners are or where the pool is? Because I think that the buck sort of stops where the pool is, and then the onus is on the pool to only deal with miners that aren't in sanctioned countries.
I think this whole discussion or topic defeats the purpose. I mean, you shouldn't really care where a miner is. You shouldn't know, first of all. And when you join a pool, you shouldn't need to KYC yourself.
Yeah, I don't see this as a big problem either.
No, I know. I mean, it obviously, like, there are... It depends on your risk aversion, right? I mean, if you're a US company and you're genuinely concerned about, like, following the letter of the law, then this might be a concern. But I mean, there has definitely been... there have been statements by the SEC and FinCEN and so on as to how they view miners. You know, do they view miners as money transmitters? No, they don't. So if they don't view miners as money transmitters, then this becomes less of a problem because the interaction seems to be a little bit on the gray side. But, I'm not a lawyer. None of us are lawyers. So I don't think we're really in a position where we can give anyone legal advice, except to say, like, if you're deeply concerned about this, go and speak to whoever, Perkins Coie, Morrison Forster.
Yeah, we're not your lawyer.
Yeah, well, it was a topic that was brought up by someone who worked at the bank. So it's still interesting to think, because I really never thought about something like that. Because basically you're paying for the transaction cost. But I think that the most logical solution would then be just have a US pool mine your transactions.
Yeah, remember, you're paying the pool. Hey, you're not paying miners. The pool's paying miners. So like, there's no way your responsibility extends beyond the pool. If you are a company, you're a bank, and you're buying T-shirts to give to your employees, you don't have to say to the T-shirt manufacturer, where did you get your cotton? You just buy the T-shirts from a T-shirt manufacturer that isn't in a sanctioned country.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could, if they really wanted to, they could someone could find out from the pool operator which miner mined it. And if the pool knows that this miner in some sanctioned country was that one that actually put your transaction into a block, then of course that chain is complete and you know who did it, right? But I don't think it's a major concern. I mean, if that's your biggest concern, you shouldn't even be using Bitcoin.
Yeah, you should be using something that, like, PayPal or Dash.
Yeah.
You should be using MoneroV.
Yeah, absolutely. You should have sold all your Litecoin at the all-time high.
But actually, talking about MoneroV, so is MoneroV a scam?
Oh wait, are you asking me? Because I don't know anything about that.
It's Monero. You know everything about Monero. It's all the same.
So here's the problem, right? The problem is, post Bitcoin Cash, we had a bunch of forks that were effectively airdrops, right? We had Bitcoin Gold and whatever, Bitcoin Diamond and Bitcoin Platinum and Bitcoin Waffle and Super Bitcoin and, all of these idiotic things. But the thing is, they weren't really dangerous because you could mostly claim your stuff pretty easily. It was, fire up the wallet and off you go and broadcast there, and then, like you're able to claim your stuff trivially. And of course, there were exchanges that would do it for you, so you didn't even need to worry about actually claiming your coins. Now, that's kind of translated over to a couple of other cryptocurrencies. Ethereum, I think, or Ethereum Classics, like recently also had an airdrop. And so with Monero, it becomes a little bit more complicated because over the past while, there have been a bunch of, like, Ethereum airdrops where ICOs have airdrop tokens to existing Ethereum users. And you can easily get a list of existing Ethereum addresses by, from the fact that the blockchain is all visible. With Monero, you can't do that. So you can't do an airdrop that is sort of externalized. The only way to do an airdrop in Monero, or the current thinking, of course, is to just take a copy of the blockchain, and then anyone who has coins they'd be able to redeem them because of that. And so the saying goes, or so the thinking goes, that this is perfectly safe because you can move your coins before redeeming them, so that there's no way for like a bad binary to steal your Monero. The problem with it is not so much that someone can steal your Monero through a bad binary, although that's a risk as well. But the biggest issue is the fact that key reuse in Monero leads to a duplication in key images. So key images are these special little public keys that are part of a transaction when you create it that prevent double spending because they're unique to the private keys that you're for the inputs, the outputs that you're spending as inputs.
So is it a scam or not?
The answer is yes. The answer is yes.
If the key images are reused on the fork chain, then it leads to a decrease in privacy on the main chain because now somebody can go, oh, that key image over there relates to this, that key image over there must relate to this. So you end up being able to sort of leverage the fork chain and do some analysis on the main chain with every single key image that's reused. So whether MoneroV knew about this or predicted this and did this on purpose, or whether they are just haphazardly bumbling along and don't know what they're doing and we're just like, oh, well, we'll do this and this is going to be a cool airdrop. I don't really know. No one knows. I tend to assume...
The privacy issue you found is the same problem with Bitcoin airdrops, right? You could have some cold coins in Bitcoin and suddenly you decide to sell your airdrop on an exchange and now it's linked to your name.
Yeah, well, that's it, right? So now there's a decrease in privacy because of what the airdrop is doing. And that's it makes it harmful, but the incentive to ordinary users is I get free money, and so it's very clever because if done correctly, and if no one from the Monero camp had said anything, then it could lead to quite effective mass breakdown in traceability of Monero transactions, or untraceability rather, and that's obviously bad. So TLDR, we don't know if it's purposeful or not, but it is exceptionally dangerous, and we're encouraging Monero users not to claim their fork tokens. We do think that there's a better way. We think that through signing a proof of balance and that sort of thing, which Monero has a lot of that functionality available, that a fork token could still exist, or not a fork token, an airdrop token. But obviously these guys are just taking the shortest route because why should they put in any effort?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar to Bitcoin, right? Where Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Gold, where if you're trying to, if you're actually selling all your Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Gold, you are kind of effectively de-anonymizing all your coins, right? So a lot of people bought Bitcoin and they put in like super cold storage and plan to never touch it, or not never, but like put it there for like 10 years. But if they have to sell their Bitcoin Cash, they have to actually pull that out of cold storage, and there's risk of losing the keys. There's also risk of exposing how many coins you have. When you actually send them to the exchange will know, oh, you have 10 Bitcoin Cash, that means you have 10 Bitcoins.
Yeah, and it was actually also brought up, I don't remember who brought it up, but it's like the perfect way for some government agency to check who has how many Bitcoins. It's a very easy and clever way. Just make it financially viable or financially interesting to have them claim the coins.
Yep.
So is Litecoin Cash a scam or not?
What's that again? I've never heard of it.
Lcash.
Oh, Lcash. Oh, got it.
Wait.
Yeah.
Did we make that?
We made what? Lcash?
Litecoin Cash.
Oh yeah, the real Litecoin, right?
Is it Charlie Lee's true vision?
Which Charlie Lee? That's the question.
My true vision is the L, like twisted a little bit. The problem with Litecoin Cash and MoneroV and Bitcoin Cash, one problem with Litecoin Cash is that they pre-mine a bunch of coins. So it's kind of the same thing, right? You pre-mine coins and then you try to pump it. And then I think just using the name Litecoin is scammy, right? Trying to piggyback off of Litecoin's success, similar to Bitcoin Cash, what Bitcoin Cash is doing, what MoneroV is doing. Won't be the first time this happens. It won't be the last.
Yep.
One of the issues I also have with these airdrops or forks or whatever you want to call it is that it just creates like the same balance in the new token as in the previous one. So they were never mined. So all the coins that were lost on the main chain, or people who don't want to claim it or are not interested in it, it's still calculated like the total amount of coins. So when you check on CoinMarketCap, it shows for Bcash around 18 million now, even though maybe only I don't know the numbers, but let's say that half was ever claimed, because you have like the 2 million lost coins or something like that. So that just inflates the market cap and gives us like more credibility than it actually has.
More credibility? That's not the right word, right?
Well, no, but I'm trying to find the right word. You know, English is not my first language. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but the point is, we shouldn't even be looking at CoinMarketCap.
It's the perception, though, right? It's the perception of credibility. It's not actual credibility.
The perception, that's the right word. See, yeah.
Yeah, but market cap of a coin is horrible. Nobody should be looking at a coin based on CoinMarketCap alone.
Well, it's one of the most popular websites. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, so a lot of people look at the coin market cap, like the market cap of the coins, but also the price. So you have Bitcoin Cash, because it has Bitcoin. That's cheaper. Maybe I should buy that. You also have that strange way that people look at it. Like when they log in on Coinbase and they see, oh, Litecoin is cheaper than Bitcoin. Maybe I should buy some Litecoin, and it will also go to 10,000 or 11,000. Obviously, it's not going to do that. No offense, Charlie.
Of course it's going to do that. What do you mean? Of course it's going to do that.
No, but then you wouldn't have sold the all-time high.
Like a few years ago when Bitcoin was $200 and Litecoin was like whatever, 1 or something, you're like, Litecoin's never going to hit $200.
Well, obviously I'm joking now, but you understand what I'm saying. So people are looking for the cheap coins. That's why you saw also a lot of pumps from the coins that were like under $1, because it's still cheap now. It doesn't matter if they have like 10 or 100 billion coins. It's still cheap.
So speaking of that, I don't know how familiar you guys are with onchainfx.com.
Not at all.
Okay, I found this website the other day. I was like, I was thinking to myself that exact thing, that people are buying coins without thinking about the emission and without thinking about the total number of coins that will exist. And I found this this website, onchainfx.com. And they've got a column. They list like quite a few of the popular cryptocurrencies, and they have a column for the implied market cap in the year 2050, and its default sorting is by implied market cap, and it's fascinating because a lot of the small coins where people are like, oh, it's sub $1, and so what if it goes to $20,000? It's very easy to see that's impossible, because the implied market cap in 2050 would be like, more than like the total M3 money supply in the world.
So it's like, is ZCash one of the coins that has a huge implied market cap?
Yeah, in fact, ZCash on the implied market cap in 2050 goes right up to like number 11 or 12 on the list. So it's, it changes a lot of things, because you can actually see and visualize like at this price and at that price what will happen.
Yeah.
Now I want to check the website, but I will do it after the show. Another thing that was brought up, actually, and Charlie, you said to put it on the agenda, is the version for the word core, like in Bitcoin core. So certain people have been calling Bitcoin core. It's quite a narrative now, even though Bitcoin core is the implementation and not the coin. They've been really trying to push that whole story about Bitcoin core.
Well, when you say they, you mean the Bcash guys, right?
I'm trying to be diplomatic about it.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, I called Roger out on that, right, in one of my tweets. Basically, everyone calls it Bitcoin, right? By calling it Bitcoin Core, you're trying to like kind of pull down Bitcoin to the level of Bitcoin Cash and saying like, okay, Bitcoin split into two. There's a core version, there's a cash version. they're on equal footing, and that's not the case, right? I mean, Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash is an altcoin.
It's a
So,
scam.
but they don't want to. They want to be on the same level as Bitcoin, and they even want Bitcoin Cash to be the real Bitcoin, right? So you have to kind of pull Bitcoin down from being just the main Bitcoin, so to speak.
Yeah. The comparison would be,
that's-
now that there's Litecoin Cash, we should call Litecoin Core, right?
The funny thing is, like, I've made a few tweets about Litecoin Core releasing a new version, right? Litecoin Core 0.15 is released, and people are like, "Why are you talking about Litecoin Core? Aren't you like working on Litecoin and not this fork?" I'm like, like people are so confused
Oh, damn.
by this Bitcoin Core like propaganda that they think they don't realize Litecoin Core is just the name of effectively the wallet, right? It's the name of the wallet.
But wasn't there a period of time where, in fact, I still see it now and then, they've been trying to push the Bitcoin legacy name? Like, oh,
Yep.
the old version of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin Cash is the new one.
Yep.
Well, there's like Bitcoin Legacy, there's Bitcoin Segwit, there's Blockstream Core, my favorite name.
I love Blockstream Core coin.
Yeah, I have a lot of Blockstream Core coins.
The North Koreans.
That's you, right, on RBTC.
Apparently, I'm part of the North Koreans. Or
Did you make that up?
No.
Yeah, it's Ricardo.
they've called me that on Twitter, and on Reddit.
They call me a Blockstream show, but I hate Blockstream. So
Yeah,
You're the worst Blockstream shill.
I know.
no,
Just for being on this show, you're a Blockstream shill. Really?
I guess so. The whole like Magical Crypto Friend is a Blockstream paid show
Yeah.
campaign.
Why else would we have Samson here? Really?
Exactly.
Speaking of which, Samson, I haven't received the last 2 paychecks.
Okay.
I haven't received any of my paychecks. What are you talking about?
They're in the mail. They're in the mail.
It's because of the high fees on Bitcoin. That's why you haven't sent it to us.
Yeah. We lowball the fees too, so that's why.
Can you please send it in Tether? I only take payments in Tether from now on.
Yeah.
USD Tether or Euro Tether?
Well, Euro, obviously. I'm still in Europe, so Euro Tether. I'm sure you heard about it that Poloniex got bought by Circle. So there's some huge markets, big companies moving into the crypto market. And I'm expecting to see a lot more mergers and acquisitions soon. So, but this also brings up the interesting thing that Circle first said like we're stepping away from Bitcoin, and now they're suddenly back. That's a very strange move.
Yeah, because they made the wrong move.
Didn't they say that nobody will be using Bitcoin in 5 years?
Yeah,
They did.
the CEO did. Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone will be using Monero, obviously.
Well, I mean,
Or Litecoin.
it's kind of funny that like they've had to step back, but they have. It's not like they've come out and been like, "Well, we were wrong." Turns out people are still using Bitcoin, so we're back. They just sort of like quietly sidelined their comment and bought Poloniex.
Well, the thing was, a lot of people were very wrong, and they were very public about their opinions. So we see a lot of silent backtracking these days.
But I expect a lot more of these kind of deals ongoing this year. I've heard some other rumors. I won't mention them now, but because they're still rumors. But I think that this will be a huge thing in 2018.
It's also kind of weird that legit regulated company buys a sort of shady exchange, and all of a sudden, like they can like bring this shady exchange into a regulated company, and everything is forgiven.
Did you read the document or the insider?
I did see that.
Inside
Yeah.
information. It literally said like, oh, everything that happened in the Poloniex past is now forgiven. If something shady happened, it's fine. So here you have a squeaky clean exchange with a lot of users. So go use it.
Well, the thing is, regulation is just another form of shadiness. It's just one and another.
But I also think it's important to dispel the rumor that the Monero Enterprise Alliance is buying Binance. It's a terrible rumor, and it's not true.
It's actually Binance is buying the Monero Enterprise Alliance.
Correct. That is the correct thing that's happening.
And it's Binance with an L instead of an I.
That's it.
2017.
I actually expect that because Coinbase yesterday hired someone new for the merchant acquisitions. So that also implies that they're also looking to buy, maybe it's even an altcoin exchange. What do you think, Charlie?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know which exchange they want to buy. What do you
Why
think?
is Charlie's like the resident Coinbase expert? Charlie,
Yeah.
when will Coinbase be adding Monero?
Ripple.
The people need to know.
Is Coinbase finally adding Ripple?
Probably not. Well, Coinbase actually released this. They emphasized that they haven't decided to add any new coins. So I believe they're telling the truth. If they decided, they wouldn't say they haven't decided yet. So the fact that they say they haven't decided yet, I assume they haven't decided yet. So all this.
Well, they probably want to wrap up They'll probably want to wrap up the 2 lawsuits first, right? About insider trading.
I guess I don't see Coinbase adding any new coins anytime soon. But I've been wrong. I've been previously wrong about Coinbase. So take what I say with a grain of salt.
A few years ago, Kraken started buying all these small exchanges. So, but maybe now it's time for Coinbase. Coinbase has a lot more money. Of course, there's a lot more money now. Also,
Which exchange do you think they want to buy? I mean, they could have bought Poloniex, right? What other exchange would they buy?
Bitrex, that was US based. That's the obvious one.
I don't see why they would.
Acquihire?
Maybe. I don't know why they have to vet the team, right?
Yeah, typically it doesn't make much sense for an exchange to buy another exchange. GDAX already has their exchange; they have their tech stack. It's really hard to integrate another exchange. It's more work than.
Yeah, it will be two totally separate exchanges, and then it's not going to really work out well. Having Circle by Poloniex made a lot more sense than having.
It's like
Coinbase
Circle is Coinbase and Poloniex is GDAX. It's like that kind of.
Yeah. So before Coinbase created GDAX, they could have bought another exchange and worked off of that, but they decided to create our own.
So then it probably makes more sense for someone like 21.com, Earn, whatever they're called now, to buy an exchange. They're in a better position to do so.
Maybe. Or Blockstream.
Exchanges, but on a satellite, using Lightning
It's the
Network.
future.
Decentralized exchanges.
I'll talk to Adam.
Satelliteless satellites.
I'll talk to Adam.
Talk to Adam about it. You should buy Bitrex. Legitimize Bitrex.
We'd buy like a decentralized exchange, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've been accused of recently is that we're brainwashing people. So Cobra tweeted about it, I believe, last week. That because I watched the intro, and it's really like brainwashing, trying to brainwash people.
We're just trying to brainwash kids.
We're looking for the weak victims.
we brainwash them while they're young, so in 10 years they're gonna all be Blockstream shills.
Well, they'll all be hodlers. Yeah.
I can't take anything Cobra says these days seriously anymore.
Yeah, especially after his strange tweets yesterday.
Yeah, I mean he was bashing Bitcoin Cash, calling it Bcash for the longest time, and then was it this morning he said a tweet that he's
Doubling down.
buying more Bitcoin Cash because he thinks it's gonna kill Lightning Network. It's a better payment.
Yeah, and like a week ago he tweeted, or he wrote an article about changing proof of work to move against Bitmain.
Yeah, I mean that's not as bad, I guess. I mean, if you really think that Bitcoin is centralized, it's the nuclear option of fixing that.
Well, yeah, of course, but at the same time, Bitmain is still the biggest producer of the ASICs. So they also have probably the highest cash reserves. So they'll be the easiest ones to adapt to the new proof of work, and probably have the first ASICs out.
Yeah. I mean, I think
so. In a way, it might even help them because now there's more competition from Halong mining and whatever the other I forgot the other new miners or mining producers are.
Yeah, I think the changing proof of work is just crazy talk. I think there's only a handful of people in the community actually would really want to change the proof of work. So it's never going to reach consensus. At least today it won't.
Yeah, I think we should just all ignore Cobra. He doesn't make any sense. I mean, so let's just ignore it as a shill account.
And his whole narrative also changed very fast. In 2 months, he completely went from anti-Bcash to full Bcash.
It's like it didn't change very. It was like a very planned change. Like if you, I think they got Bitcoin.com. They got Bitcoin Twitter account now, right? And recently, the Bitcoin Twitter account tweeted something like it's the 5 stages of acceptance, right, or denial. But it's almost like they're following that roadmap for Cobra when they're tweeting things out, so that they could tweet that thing out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it all seems a bit too planned.
Yeah, it's too planned.
So do you think Cobra has been bought, or what do you think?
It doesn't matter. I don't know if the account is bought or the guy is bought, but it's compromised no matter what, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, Darkpool posted a bunch of screenshots in response to that tweet yesterday, and I mean, like as late as November 2017, he was sort of going off on RBTC and Bitcoin Cash and all that. So to have such a switch in such a short space of time, with no logical progression, is surprising. Normally, when somebody changes their mind about something, they sort of come around and they talk about it, and they sort of slowly, like, it eats away at their arguments, and eventually they sort of like, okay, I'm starting to change my opinion. No one goes from like 0 to euro like that.
Well, they tried. So they did a really crappy job of changing his position in these big steps. So it's just fake. You can just tell it's fake.
Yeah, you can. It doesn't read the same. Even sort of like linguistically, it doesn't match.
So talking about Bcash shills, did you read up on the lawsuit about Craig Wright? So Craig Wright got sued last week, of course, when the show airs a couple of weeks ago, over the Tulip Trust, like 1.1 million Bitcoin,
$10 billion.
But it was also already proven that the Bitcoin addresses that were mentioned in that filing, that they were really not from like an unknown source. They were like from Mt. Gox, from other people, but like most of those addresses were known to not be involved with the Tulip Trust or whatever.
Well, okay. The problem with the lawsuit is it's based off of Craig Wright's claims that he owns coins, but it's been disproven. So I think it's WizSec that showed like all of the addresses he claimed fraudulently, because he is a fraud, belong to other people, like exchanges or just other people that use Gox. He just said, okay, this has a lot of Bitcoin in it. That's mine. That's mine. That's mine. But it's obviously not his. It's proven that those addresses are not his. So when this lawsuit came along and it's suing him for what he's got, it doesn't really work because he doesn't have it. So if it does go to court or he has to do a deposition, then he has to basically say, that's not mine.
So what if this is a way of him trying to demonstrate that he is Satoshi? So basically what he does is he convinces this guy, either manipulates him into starting the lawsuit or just pays him off to start the lawsuit. Then they settle out of court. And then he's like, see, I have a lot of Bitcoin and I settle out of court. And this is proof of it.
I was thinking about it. A lot of people are... Well, we all have like our tinfoil hats on when it comes to this. So that was also one of the things that I actually mentioned, that he will try to settle it and then try to claim legitimacy.
I don't think it matters. I think like people already have their mindset. People who don't think he's Satoshi will never believe he's Satoshi, and vice versa. I'm kind of really tired of all this Craig Wright drama. It's really boring, right?
But didn't you see RBTC today?
See,
you know that Roger Ver was posting a video to the guy that said he claimed he spoke to two Bitcoin experts, to which Craig Wright showed privately that he did was Satoshi, that he did have the keys and signed some stuff and all that stuff.
but I don't care, right? Just show me the proof. I mean, do what I did. Just publicize the proof and everyone will shut up. Right?
No, but you're not a Bitcoin expert, so he doesn't show you the proof.
That's right.
He's a Litecoin expert.
No, but of course he's not going to do it in public. He wants to sit quietly in his room, not be in the public eye. he said it before.
And quietly drive his Lambo around town.
Yeah,
right?
it's rented Lambo.
Anyways, I agree with Charlie. I think it's really boring. It's really stupid and it's really boring. Like,
Yeah, I've blocked him on Twitter, so, and I think he's also blocked me on Twitter, so we're not, our worlds do not connect. So I'm happy.
it's a lawsuit based on fraud. And I think it's a real suit. Like, someone saw he has money. He probably tried to scam someone and they're trying to get it back. I mean, the lawsuit is probably real, but it's not going to go anywhere because he doesn't have any coins.
Yeah, well, the lawsuit is real. So, but yeah, if it's based on fraudulent documents, it will be interesting. I guess we'll hear more about it, or nothing anymore if he settles. So,
Don't care.
so Bill Gates did an AMA a couple of days ago, and he was asked about Bitcoin, and he said, "Bitcoin is killing people." Like just like that. Like Bitcoin is directly killing people.
And then I saw a response saying Windows is also killing people. I mean, yeah, people use Windows to buy drugs or whatever, and it's killing people. I mean,
It is. It's horrible.
So his argument was that it's that Bitcoin is literally defeating like the government's ability to do things like protect everyone from terrorists, and I appreciate his viewpoint on it, but like I said in response to him on Reddit, the same technology that allows a government like the US government to enforce anti-terrorism and so on, that technology also gets abused in oppressive regimes to track the citizens of a particular country and to prevent them from speaking out against that oppressive regime. So, like something like Bitcoin can be used in that oppressive regime. And so you can't say that a technology like that is net positive or net negative across the world. You might say that in your particular little space you think that it's bad, but he painted everyone with the same brush and basically implied that all government is good. And clearly we know that not all government is good because we've seen evidence of that over and over again. And so the same should apply to the technology, right? Not all technology is used for good. It's also used by bad people, and this conversation is so nuanced that to state it in such absolute terms is really like disingenuous of him.
Yeah, and it keeps surprising me that smart people, he's obviously a smart guy, that smart people keep saying like stuff like that. And it doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you think about it, we're not that strange. We can think critical. I'm sure he has a critical mind as well. So why doesn't he understand it, or doesn't he want to understand it?
He was probably thinking about Monero, actually. He thought it was Bitcoin. But there's a lot of smart people, but if smart people don't have subject matter expertise, it doesn't matter how smart they are, right? And crypto is not something you can just, read a couple pages on the internet and understand it. There's so much nuance, and there's a lot of scamminess, and, the rabbit hole goes pretty deep.
I mean, I would also think he probably hasn't spent a lot of time thinking about Bitcoin. So if someone just asked him out of the blue what he thought about Bitcoin, that's the first thing that popped in his mind.
He's just getting ready to buy an exchange.
He's flooding Bitcoin because he wants to buy it at a lower price.
No, but it might be actually if he wants to buy an exchange and has that exchange run on Windows, then we might have another problem. But so Charlie.
Yes, Panda.
Recently you've been trying to pump Nano, and a lot of Litecoiners don't like it. So now you can set the record straight.
Set the record straight? What's so funny?
I just know it's like every episode, like you end up getting nailed on something. It's like oh Charlie, the last about Charlie, you sent this tweet. Now we have to discuss it again.
I made one slightly positive tweet about Nano. What did I say? I said, I thought it was interesting. The approach they're doing using proof of work for fighting spam and using proof of stake for double spam protection. And they're going to have a challenge ahead of trying to make it decentralized. So it's slightly positive. I still said something that they're going to have a challenge to make it decentralized because I think they're going to have a real challenge to make it decentralized. And then I ended with a disclaimer because I think that's the right thing to do, to be transparent, that I actually do own some Nano. That's it.
Yeah, but you know that because you're the founder of Litecoin, you're not allowed to talk about other coins. That's
Correct.
one of the rules.
I'm not allowed to talk about other coins. Yes, I should stay in my lane.
Yes,
I don't
exactly.
talk about other coins that much. I mean, I don't like. I'm not like John McAfee, right? Not yet.
Charlie's coin of the week.
Coin of the hour.
Coin of the day. So sometimes when I run across some projects that's interesting, I talk about it. I've said something good about Monero previously. I've also threw FUD at Monero previously. I mean, people worry too much about what I do. I have thoughts and I just express it. And if you appreciate it, you take it. If you don't appreciate it, don't follow me.
It's actually quite interesting because once you have a certain amount of followers on Twitter and you start mentioning coins, then obviously everyone's going to call you a pumper, even if you're just trying to like, oh, that's an interesting project.
Yeah.
I completely stopped mentioning all positive coins, except for like Monero. I might mention from time to time because people know that we're friends, Ricardo. So and you pay me enough to mention it from time to time. So
Yeah, totally. I pay you in testnet Monero though.
no, but I don't mention any projects anymore just because I know I will get a lot of shit about it. So
I don't care, right? If there's something interesting, I just point it out, and if you want to give me shit about it, I'll respond to your shit and throw it back at you. I mean, people tell me to like shut up, don't tweet. Every time I tweet, the price goes down. So what I do, I just block them, so they'll never see my tweets again.
No, actually, that works very well for Zuko. Every time he tweets something about meat, ZCash crashes again, or something about privacy, ZCash crashes again. So for him, it works out very well.
And like just today, someone wrote and said, "I'm the worst thing that happened to Litecoin." I'm like, well, first of all, Litecoin won't exist if I didn't create it. Second of all, like Litecoin went up 50 times in price last year. I mean, what else do you want?
Well, if it wasn't for you, it could have gone up 100 times.
I see that all the time. People say Litecoin would be at $400 if I didn't like FUD it.
Yeah.
If I didn't sell all my coins, if I didn't say anything bad about it, it's stupid. I try to ignore it, but it's hard.
It's a stupid argument. I mean, like at the end of the day, it like stuff should work or not work despite the people involved, not because of them. You can't blame one person for anything really. It's silly.
Yeah, the problem is like this. It's money. There's money involved, so people like invest more than they can afford to lose. So if I say something bad about a coin and I cause the price to go down, they feel like I'm hurting their investment, and they give me crap about it.
So I should probably stop telling people to take out lines of credit and buy Litecoin and follow Charlie.
Probably.
So let's take a break from Charlie Lee now. Let's talk about the SIPA calendar contest.
Oh yes, do we have winners?
Well, we're going to have a winner. I'd like to invite Rustilik Ruslovsky on to choose a winner from the entries that we have so far. So over to you, Rustilik.
Greetings, magical crypto friends. I'm delighted to be here with you. I am in the bunker at the Institute for Peter Wuller Fact Research. I was delighted by a number of the submissions, of course, but some of them we have spent significant resources to validate. For example, Peter did build his first blockchain at age 3. This is true. And he does snore when he sleeps. But I thought that Christian Roof uncovered a fascinating fact that we had not previously been aware of. He points out that most people have 23 pairs of chromosomes, but Peter has 23 base 58 encoded ripe MD160 hash of a 2 SHA-256 hash of the key of an elliptic curve digital signature with a checksum appended. This is in fact true based on our genetic tests. But eventually, the winner was clear. The one Vortex pointed out that if you do say Peter Wooler's name 3 times in front of the mirror, he will leap out and audit your last pull request. This is in fact true, and I tested it.
That's pretty good.
I like that.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a winner.
Thank you, magical crypto friends. It is always wonderful to meet fellow disciples of the legendary Peter Wooler. Of course, you are all welcome to visit the bunker here at the Research Institute should you wish to view some of the relics that we have of Peter Wooler himself. I do in fact already have a calendar, although my wife prefers that we keep that at home in the bedroom.
Okay. Congratulations to all the winners.
Yeah, congratulations.
Well done. You are funny.
Yes. Okay, back to the show.
Okay. So, at the Blockstack conference in Berlin, Snowden again was chilling ZCash. I think he even tweeted that like, oh, but ZCash even went up after I mentioned it on Twitter. So he's basically now pumping cryptocurrencies. And I know that Ricardo has like a really fondness of Snowden since he started talking about ZCash. So
Ricardo, why do you think Snowden talks about why do you think he likes ZCash and not Monero?
Because the price went up? No, I mean, like, you know what? I'm always disappointed when people who are prominent end up like basically becoming shills and talking about the price
Of your competitor.
No. You know, honestly, about anything. Even like, even if they were talking about Monero and Monero's price, it's just disappointing. It's like we should be focusing on things like, improving the technology and providing greater access to it. And the minute they start talking about the price, it's like, where do your interests really lie? And like, my wife has very strong feelings about this. She's like, well, Snowden's getting paid. And how else is he earning money in Russia? He's getting paid. So, and whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it definitely seems suspicious, like, that he'd even mention the price. You know, it's not great. It's like John McAfee, but in Russian form.
Well, the thing is, I don't think he really understands the tech either. I mean, he should know that ZCash is not that private. Like, most transactions are not shielded. So he's recommending an inferior privacy coin.
I mean, you could shield transaction you send. It's just not all shielded, right?
Yeah, but most aren't.
Unlike Monero, most aren't. Yeah, I mean, it's new technology.
Yeah, but Snowden, given who he is, shouldn't he have done his research on privacy coins and at least know the difference between the two and which one's better?
I mean, ZCash is obviously better than Monero, so it has cash in it. It must be better.
It's Zuko's True Vision.
Yeah, it follows the white paper.
Yeah.
let's do some questions from the people on Twitter.
Yeah.
So there's so much talk about forks. How do you feel about spoons? Are you the big spoon or the little spoon?
I prefer being the big spoon.
Makes sense. There was talk about the Monero ASIC, apparently.
Yeah, so we're tweaking our proof of work algorithm. We're not changing it to like a different one. We're just changing a couple of things within it. And the aim is to, we have hard forks every 6 months because we're completely centralized. And the idea is that with the hard forks every 6 months, we will continuously slightly tweak the proof of work algorithm in unplanned ways, and this will hopefully make it just not financially worthwhile to produce ASICs.
That's like the only way to really block ASICs.
Yeah,
is you just have to change it every once in a while.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, we're doing this. So one of the big reasons we're doing this is because there seems to be mounting evidence that ASICs already exist for Monero, but they are A, mining surreptitiously, B, not available for purchase, and C, when they are available for purchase, it's going to be like one, maybe two large manufacturers, but one manufacturer in particular that's going to flood the market, and that obviously leads to a minor centralization that we're trying to avoid. So it's I don't know if this is the right move. No one does, but we're sort of like it's impossible to tell what we should do. I think that having been around and been heavily involved in Bitcoin mining when ASICs came around, and having bought a ton of stuff from Butterfly Labs, or pre-ordered a ton of stuff from Butterfly Labs, some of which got delivered, which was miraculous. I can tell you that like that whole process of like competitors with almost no money taking pre-orders, failing, other competitors starting up, and eventually leading to like a reasonable deployment of ASICs. That is unique to Bitcoin. There is no way that happens now, because the handful of manufacturers that do exist have got more money than sense, and they're able to just pick an algorithm, produce an ASIC, and flood that market. And we've seen it with stuff like Saya, where Bitmain was able to produce an ASIC and flood the market much faster than they were able to produce their own. So we're at a stage where it's either like embrace ASICs and let this one manufacturer, whoever it is, control Monero mining forever, or we have to push back as a community, and that's what we've decided to do.
The important question is, how does this impact your malware in the browsers that mine Monero?
So that's actually very interesting. I was chatting like on Twitter to Malware Tech Blog and so on. And I do think that it's going to be interesting to see. Well, look, I mean, firstly, assuming that there are ASICs, we're going to obviously see a drop in hash rate at the end of this month as ASICs fall off. But we're also going to see a drop in hash rate as malware is suddenly mining a dead chain, or not even mining a dead chain, but mining invalid proof of work, because a lot of malware hits ordinary mining pools. So, like, they're going to be returning incorrect solutions to the proof of work challenge, and the mining pool will just block them eventually. So they're basically going to be like they're going to be cut off dead, and at some point the malware operator is going to go like, oh, my stuff isn't working. And will he deploy a fix? Will he deploy an update? And how quickly will he do that? Those are things that I'd be interested to see. Or will we, some of them are sort of installed and they're installed through a backdoor that subsequently gets patched, and now the guy can't update it. What happens there?
So do you think we'll see like a Monero Classic?
I really hope not. I mean, like there's so many options for existing ASICs and botnets. They can just switch to like Electronium or Sumo Coin or MoneroV. So having to like now create another fork coin seems silly, especially when MoneroV was launched a few days ago. Just go launch that. I mean, go mine that. No problem.
They're probably just going to be mining MoneroV.
And that will be the real Monero then.
If they can't update their malware, then it's probably better to market Monero Classic, right?
The problem is like if they can't update it and they're locked into one pool and that pool blocks them, then it doesn't make any difference anyway, because they won't be able to mine the Classic chain.
So, question for you: what happens when the ASICs that is allegedly there switches to mining MoneroV, and then MoneroV has more hash rate than Monero, and it's more secure, and it's the real Monero?
It's the real Monero.
Well, then it becomes thankful for today's True Vision, and it becomes the real Monero.
Cool.
Yeah, and then of course all the developers flock to it, because developers naturally gravitate to the coin that has that is the True Vision.
So we'll have to replace Ricardo with the lead developer of MoneroV.
Yeah, Fluffy V.
We'd have to.
Yeah.
Magical crypto friends will have to, kick you out and replace you.
Sorry, no hard feelings, man.
It's okay. You guys are suing me. You're kicking me out. This has been a great episode, guys. Thanks.
Oh, by the way, someone does have MoneroClassic.com.
Not surprising.
Yeah, it's happening, guys.
Talking about True Visions, is anyone going to the conference, the Satoshi True Vision conference I believe it's in Japan?
Is it called Satoshi's True Vision?
It's just satoshisvision.com, but we shouldn't advertise for this.
That's in our brainwashing cartoon, right? Satoshi's Vision.
It's Satoshi's Vision conference in Tokyo. So no one's going. How disappointing.
I wasn't invited.
I thought that they were going to offer me a speaking slot, but no one has.
Is Ryan Gosling going? That's the question.
Ryan Gosling is so deep into cryptocurrency right now, it's crazy.
Maybe an interesting question. Like, have you guys used decentralized exchanges?
Ooh, me. Yes, I have.
Okay. Thank you for that insightful answer. and do you like it? What's the process like? Like, do you use it often or?
So I've my extended experiences have been on Bisq from when it was still called BitSquare, and also on EtherDelta. So Bisq, generally positive experience. It's a dedicated app. There's definitely a lack of liquidity, which is always the challenge. But overall, I didn't find it too difficult to use. You tend to hit like large trades rather than trying to sort of market buy over multiple orders and that sort of thing, or market sell. It's very useful for it though, like for large trades. I sort of treat it as like a decentralized local Bitcoins, more decentralized local Monero or whatever, because it's more useful for that, I think, than anything else.
So it's useful where you can actually like decide on a trade beforehand and then tell both parties just go to this decentralized exchange and execute the trade, right? If the volume's not there.
Yeah, you could do it there in a nice decentralized way. But if you did have, for example, let's use a practical example. If you had Bitcoin and you wanted to go to Monero, or you had Monero and you wanted to go to Bitcoin and you wanted to do so without using a centralized exchange, it requires KYC and AML. Then there's enough liquidity for most purposes on Bisq, and you'd be able to go there and match an order and go from Bitcoin to Monero, Monero to Bitcoin. Pretty trivially, not that complicated to do so, and pretty safely as well. The fact that it is a dedicated desktop app actually helps a lot, because compared, like with EtherDelta's had endless issues, endless security issues, because as somebody who has a web wallet, I can tell you that securing a web application is nearly impossible. So EtherDelta, the experience was reasonable. It wasn't the like stepping through the sort of like initial wizard where it basically creates an Ethereum private key for you and all that. All of that was easy, but like the constant fear of like their DNS gets compromised and whatever, like that fear is real, and it is extremely difficult because you can have the ideal environment locally, in a secure environment locally, but if their DNS gets compromised and gets pointed somewhere else to a poisoned website, then it doesn't matter how secure you are.
You're totally screwed.
Okay, so one specifically for Charlie. Ask Charlie why he's now pumping DEX scams after he sold Litecoin at all-time high.
I'm not. I said I made one positive tweet about it.
Charlie, when are you selling your Nano at all-time high? Because the audience wants to know.
I've told people previously I'm selling it higher than the all-time high.
Oh, nice.
Yep, I won't sell anything lower than the all-time high.
And a lot of people like asking for other people on. Since we had Elizabeth Stark on now, people are asking for other people on. But we're not going to do that. Maybe we can have someone on in the episode where we're all together at consensus, potentially. But other than that, nah.
Other than that, they're stuck with us. We're the people in the intro cartoon. No one else is in the intro cartoon.
We can have Dorian Nakamoto.
He is in the intro, that's true.
Yeah.
Or we could have a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did have the real Charlie Lee. We can ask him to come back on again.
Yeah.
Nice.
We could also replace Ricardo with Ricardo V.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's just a fork of me. It looks like me. It sounds like me, but it's not me.
But it's purple.
Is it?
Yep.
It is. Would you advise new investors to sell any coins to pay off their house loan?
I think they should remortgage their house and buy Litecoin and follow Charlie.
This is not investment advice.
So in all seriousness, I think that if you've made reasonable profit by buying and holding or trading or whatever, like settle your debt. Then at least if crypto crashes tomorrow, you've settled your debt.
Yeah, of course.
Or go 100 times long on margin.
Samson, sometimes I worry about you.
Well, no, but actually, it's interesting because, like for example, in Belgium, you get a tax cut if you have a loan, and because of the rate is like the rate from the loans that were going out last couple of years, but that was that low. It's still interesting to keep a part of the loan for your house in order to get the tax cut. So I guess it also depends on the rate you're getting and where you're living.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible for us to give financial advice, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah, like I agree. I mean, in South Africa, we have something called an access bond, where you can basically you can draw money out of your mortgage, as long as the mortgage is still open. So what some people have done is with the access bond, they've left just a little bit open at the end, so that they can always tap into it in an emergency. So yeah, sure, something like that's fine, but like. I think that people that are taking out credit cards and personal loans and remortgaging houses and that's super dangerous, and it's like not advisable.
Yeah, probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah, just rather buy a little bit with the money that you have, and then just hold for whatever 10 years. You'll make more money than like going incredibly risky.
And on that bombshell, we will end the show. It's a good investment advice by Ricardo. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this one was more informative, and you will hate us less now after this episode than for the previous one. And I hope that someone will finish this one again with like, "Oh, this episode sucks" or whatever he said.
Yeah, this is the worst episode in the world.
Yeah. This episode is great.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.
buy Litecoin.